have a presentation tonight, New York State Department of Education Seal of Illiteracy, presented by Rebecca Fedorka and Anthony Lazaro.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Is this
Lazaro, take it fast down.
how's this? Okay, much better. Thank you. All right. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna, Mr. Segura, help me undo the screencast if I can. So. I just want to present. Right. Yeah, let me just present. View. Thank you. I should have done that other thing first, right? Great. All right, perfect. All right, so first off, thank you very much for having me this evening. I'm excited to share what the high school and the district is taking on with the Seal of Biliteracy. I just want to give you a background as to what it is, how it's going to benefit our students, and the pathway that they're going to take to achieve this accomplishment. So first off, the Seal of Biliteracy recognizes any high school student who has, early on, we were able to identify the students who would qualify, who would be eligible to receive this, and right now we're looking at approximately 40 students in the senior class alone who would be going down in this direction. So that's over 20% of our population. Now, as we're promoting this, and as this gets promoted, we're also finding that there's students who maybe we didn't realize, right? Because school tool doesn't tell you everything you need to know in terms of what language students are speaking at home. So it's bringing to the forefront other students who have this ability and providing us the opportunity to celebrate them as well. Now, as we move into December, what we're doing at this time, I apologize. In November, Ms. Fedorka had put together the application to the state. If you remember, in mid-December, Dr. Walkowitz had mentioned that we were approved, right? So they received our application, we were approved by the state to move forward in this endeavor and start working with our students toward this end. Now we are in January, as we move forward, we're putting together a student team along with our collection of adults to help refine the process. And as we head toward the spring, we're going to start more clearly putting together a culminating project, right? Which the way I would describe this and the way it was described to us, if you imagine a science fair, essentially where students are presenting some type of project, whether it be from any discipline, right? It could be through history, it could be through cultural foods, it could be through physical education, health, and they're presenting in 2 languages. So there'll be a panel of rotating judges, and I'll explain this further as we go along, but there'll be a panel of rotating judges. The student will be asked questions first in English, then in whatever world language they're being assessed in, and if they reach that level of proficiency, they'll garner points that will allow them to receive the seal. So right now, like I said, we're heading toward the process of monitoring students and working toward what that culminating project would be. When it is, we are scheduling it for mid-May. It's mid-May because it provides us, first of all, an opportunity if we need to be outside to have this larger piece, we can do that. We will be potentially bringing in people from outside. If a student, for example, speaks Russian, we might not have that Russian speaker in the building, so we would have to enlist outside community help. They'll be helping us assess the student of any language. So this is available to any language that a student has access to and feels potentially proficient in. And of course, in June, the seal would be then sent to us, and we would be able to hand that out on the diploma during the commencement ceremony. Now the pathways, so earning the seal. Students need 6 points to earn the seal. They get 3 from English, 3 from their world language. There's 1 point is awarded for either assessment or completion of a course. So for example, a student is successful on the New York State English regions of 80 or higher, that's a point. They pass the English courses, that's a point. They're able to, they pass the world language course, or they have a transcript from another country that demonstrates proficiency. Those are how they garner points. The final 2 points for both English and the world language component, which means 4 of the 6 points, come from that culminating project that I just spoke of. So again, the judges will be able to go through the rubric with the student. If they achieve the points, plus whatever courses they already have, that will allow them to get that final 6 points. And just to give you a sense of what the rubric looks like, so this is a very condensed, abridged version. If you want to see the full version, you do have access to it on the link. But basically, excuse me, we're looking at the interpersonal, interpretive, and presentational skill sets of a student. And the questions are, you know, what do they understand? How do they exchange information? And how do they present that information? And through those categories, we're able to award the points as needed. And finally, again, this is the team we have put in place at this time. We have Ms. Fedoric heading it up from her as a high school coordinator position. She's done a great job. We have Ms. Bransfield, and we're joined by 2 middle school foreign language teachers, Ms. Medina and Mr. Wilson. Mr. Leonard has taken on the English component. Ms. Marcoux serves in the E&L. Guidance team headed by Ms. Oldham has joined it, and of course Dr. Walkowitz. And we have some student representatives as we move along. Like I said, they'll be joining us, and we expect that student representation piece to be growing as well. So that's the overview. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for our students, and again, really encouraging that movement forward in terms of taking additional that 3 years of foreign language plus, as well as really celebrating those students who are working so hard. Coming in, we're seeing it. We do have an increasing number of E&L students. I think it's an opportunity to also recognize the work that they put in. It's a nice opportunity overall. So, any questions or?
I have a question.
Sure.
How do you think? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I'm not sure if you might say, but I can hear you.
How do you think this will benefit the seal? Will benefit the student?
So not only does it, thank you. So it benefits the student in a number of ways. First and foremost, like I said, it's something that is recognized by colleges, right? So it's attractive from that point of view. It's also something that a student can mention on their, it goes on their resume, right? It goes on when we think about the world we live in today, and our plan, like globally, we really shrunk, right? Because of the social media, because of internet, because of travel. So the ability to have and show proficiency, and that's what we're saying. They're showing proficiency in 2 languages, right? That's something that would be, to have that on your resume or a college application is definitely a benefit, right? Especially how competitive scholarships are now. So I imagine in a number of ways that would be beneficial. And what I didn't say is, not only does it benefit the student, it actually benefits our district. So the college and career readiness, and civic readiness, sorry, college and career civic readiness are evaluated from a state perspective. This actually winds up increasing our score to that end. So it benefits in that way as well.
And how many schools would you say participate with this?
So I don't know if Dr. Walkowitz can speak to that number. I know that there are a couple schools in the county. I don't know the exact number.
Yeah, there are several schools in the county who just started within the last, I would say 3 years, around the same timeline that we were starting here. But this just came up about a month ago in our assistant superintendent meetings about how to start this. So we've been working with other schools too to give information and guidance. So there's actually a team at this time being committed within the county to have all schools try to offer this, because it does help increase the value of the school district, essentially, in the end. Just to also mention, this is nationally recognized seal. So each of this, not every single state has a seal by illiteracy offering, because they're still being developed, but most states in the U.S. do offer the seal. It may look different in how they accomplish it, but it is nationally recognized. And there are international recognitions as well. So it does go beyond the school districts quite far.
Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, no, it's great, and I don't, and again, I was so excited to get started. I didn't mention, so Ms. Fedora did intend to be here tonight, but unfortunately circumstances prevented her. But the work that she has put in, as well as the guidance from Dr. Walkowitz, have really pushed this forward. And I think it is an awesome opportunity for our students. You know, and I think back to my own high school career, that things that I didn't have available to me and what we have here, I'm excited for our students. It's a great opportunity. So thank you. Any other? All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Just double check, Mrs. Lopez, no public comment tonight. We do have our two students here who would like to give us reports. We have Erin Batzel.
Okay. Senior scholarship. Senior scholarship packets have been sent out in the mail. Scholarship workshops will be held remotely from 2:30 to 3:30, and the first of the workshops will be held on January 26th. Seniors have received their cap and gown and diploma order forms in their emails. The forms should be completed ASAP and have $10 turned into Miss Shields in the office by March 1st. Winter sports are currently well underway. Wrestling hosted their senior night last week, but the remaining sports have not. Boys basketball will have theirs on February 9th, girls basketball will have theirs on February 12th, and indoor track will host theirs on a later date in February to be determined.
Molly?
Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
This Thursday, January 13th, Michael Rydell. Sorry.
It's okay, Molly Katie.
I'm so sorry. Mr. Rydell is holding another student voice committee meeting for the students. These meetings give students the opportunity to voice issues, concerns, and ideas to better the status of our school environment. All students are welcome this Thursday, 2 to 4 at the library. Next Thursday, the 18th, there's going to be a PJHS PTSA meeting in room 126. And the last senior portrait makeup day is on Tuesday, the 18th as well, from 9 to 12 in the rubber gym. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. We have our administrative reports. Our superintendent is Michael right now.
Thank you, Ms. Santini, and thank you for mentioning the Student Voice Committee, Molly. I know you were a part of it.
Yeah.
And what'd you think of it?
I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I got my voice out, and so did others. And very different perspectives as well.
And absolutely, and that's what was really nice. It was all grades, people coming with different interests and focuses. So yeah, foci. So great. Well, I'm glad you were a part of it, Molly. So I don't want to hold you back. So
It's okay. Have a good night.
you too.
Night.
So yeah, I just wanted to thank Mr. Lazaro for the great presentation and really the whole team that was involved with the Seal by Literacy. So Ms. Amato, just for some perspective, this is all part of the overall vision of how do we make it so that the high school experience is as a far-reaching scope as possible, also make our students as competitive in whatever they're going to pursue after high school, but also how do we help develop some of those soft skills, interpersonal skills, and lifelong skills that really should come out of your high school experience. And it doesn't always, right, depending on what's offered. It's also part of the ultimate vision of when it comes to the competitiveness, how do we also increase the number of certifications our students can get, both formal and informal certifications. The Seal by Literacy happens to be obviously a formal, real one. You can also have locally developed endorsements, like having someone that goes through a humanities track or a STEM track and putting endorsements on their transcript/diploma also makes them that much more competitive in whatever they pursue after high school. So that's really part of the larger plan. And the board may recall when we did our interviews for our assistant superintendent for instruction, one of the questions I asked was, we want to implement the Seal by Literacy. Can you get this launched within a year? And you may remember Natasha saying immediately, yes, absolutely, I can. And it did not take her a year. Along with her team, they got it done in about 3 months. So I applaud that, and applaud the high school team for getting that done. I guess I'll just yield the rest of my time. I know there's been a lot of updates. I've shared a lot of memos from the New York State Department of Health, the Orange County Department of Health with the board, and I just wanted to just kind of open it up at this point if the board had any questions regarding changes to the isolation and quarantine protocols, really any test to stay. There's a lot, so I'm sure among all of you there are some questions, or Aaron, if you have any questions, certainly use your microphone, student voice. I think Ms. Rapp has her hand up.
Hi, I just wanted to ask for some clarification. So is this for students who have been quarantined already? Is it retroactive if you were quarantined, say, 2 days ago? Or does that 5 days as opposed to 10 days go into effect for those students as well?
Yeah, that's actually a great question, and I think the answer to that might depend on who you actually asked that question to. Just to give some timeline, the initial guidance came out on December 24th. That was the initial volley that came out from the New York State Department of Health. Basically what it did was it said that the isolation period is going to be reduced to 5 days for critical workforce, which includes school personnel. Then on or about January 4th, another memo came out that basically said, you know what, we decided we're going to shift that to the general population, but we're going to take out schools until we send out the school guidance. So one could argue that that clock really started ticking on January 4th when that initial document came out. So the final school document, not the final, but the memo that came out most recently that indicated what you're going to do in schools, that was yesterday, last night. So in short, the answer that we are employing is that the guidance is effective immediately, and that applies to all that are currently on quarantine or in isolation. So if someone is in day 6 of a quarantine, as long as they're checking the other boxes, they're asymptomatic, etc., then they're cleared to come back to school. If you're isolated, asymptomatic, and or your symptoms are resolving, and that's clearly described on our website as well as on the New York State Department of Health memo, then you can return to school day 6 or later. So I just gave a long answer. I'll give you a shortened version of that. Yes, it does retroactively apply, but that's really expiring pretty quickly because we're already into this would be day 1. We're now going into day 2 of the guidance. Once we get to day 5, it's now a moot point at that point because everyone will be back anyway. That was a great question, though.
Thank you. I have one more. So for the test to stay, parents would, just to clarify, they would test their child at home and then send them with an attestation form, or would they complete the attestation form at the school?
No. So first of all, I don't. That's another great question, by the way. I don't think there's any reasonable way to expect a parent to complete the attestation at school. So just so we're fully transparent, that is a locally developed protocol. Basically, my logic behind that attestation is that we do want to make sure that there are some checks and balances in the process. So basically, if a student is determined to be a close contact and they're unvaccinated, then there's basically 2 paths one can go down. You can do the 5-day quarantine, because quarantining is now reduced to 5 days as well as isolation periods. So you can quarantine for 5 days, or you can do the test to stay protocol. The test to stay protocol, the parent will receive a packet from our nurse or building administrator, depending on who they're actually meeting with to process this. In that packet will be a description of what you need to do to test to stay. They will also sign a form indicating that they will comply with the test to stay cadence. In other words, you won't send your child to school if they have symptoms or you did not test them. So then the student will bring in a signed attestation each day of that testing cadence. So realistically, it's probably going to be 4 or 5 days, depending on when they're actually informed that they were a close contact. That attestation indicates that they did not have symptoms, and if it was a testing day, that they did get tested and the test was negative. So we did that just so that there's a routine involved, and there's just some checks and balances on there, because ultimately, while we do support this, we're very happy that this has come to fruition. We also need to make sure we do it with fidelity to keep everyone safe and keep everyone healthy and not have students come to school that do not comply with the test and stay. Yeah, keep them coming. This is.
So once the parent signs the attestation, just for my own information and clarity, where are we giving responsibility to a bus driver to say, do you have your attestation form before you get on the bus?
We're not. It's being turned into school, so it's well.
How is that happening? If the child is being sent to school and the parent isn't responsible to bring the attestation form to school, what you just said, how's it getting to school then? And how are we?
The student's bringing it to school.
Okay, so the student is getting on the bus.
Correct.
So the student gets to school and it doesn't have the attestation form.
So we did speak about this. So originally, when we met with the nurses, the original concept was to do a Google form. And I said I want to do the paper form because the Google form would require the nurses to go on their computer and check. Trust me, I'm very electronically based, right? I like my computer as opposed to all these papers. I do believe that there's some value in paper at times because it is part of the routine. First of all, not everyone is as proficient at filling out forms online, and et cetera, but they can take care of the attestation with no problem in a rush in the morning. Again, this is locally developed. This is not a requirement for the test to stay. This is something that we wanted to put in place to make sure that it was a daily thing, and that we had a record that at home they're doing the test to stay with the fidelity that we need to keep our building safe. So the student, yeah, absolutely, they're going to get on the bus. The bus driver, there is no expectation that the bus driver is checking that attestation. It would be collected by the nurse. If the student does not have that, then they're contacting the parent just like they would if they didn't fill out the Google form, and they're going to say they're basically doing a verbal attestation. Were there any symptoms? No, this was a testing day. Did you test them this morning before they came to school? Yes, I did, it was negative. Okay, send in that signed attestation tomorrow along with tomorrow's attestation.
Not ideal, but I guess we gotta take what we can.
I can't stress enough that this was a completely made up portion for Port Jervis schools. Yeah, this was not mentioned in any of the guidance. It was something that we collectively as a team felt that we wanted as just that routine establishment.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying, having worked in the school, and I'm sure any teacher, any administrator will say there's such an allowance for human error that you kind of have to be really proactive in order to prevent that. That's what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and that's actually why that came into the conversation with the attestation, because human error could also, we're all very busy. I have 3 daughters. One day could blend into another. I could forget to do that. So.
Okay.
And to make a point, the tests are not 100% accurate either. So the test cannot really distinguish whether or not you have COVID or if you have the flu.
But that's not the point. The point is, if that's our responsibility, given the test
I totally understand, but
we have to do what we can.
Totally understand, but it's just because they missed the form doesn't mean the test is even accurate anyway. So
It's not the point.
I get it. I think you're saying 2 different things, but not disagreeing with each other. So.
Mr. Rydell, if a parent has a question though, who can they contact at the school so that they're not confused or they know what they're supposed to do? Who is the contact person they should try to get a hold of to help them?
So I personally would start with the building principal, and the reason why I would start there is because our administrators who are here tonight are exceptionally busy and work very, very hard. Our nurses' offices are buzzing with activity, as they always are. I would prefer start with the building principal. If it's something that maybe is a little more medically specific that they then feel would be better handled by a nurse, they can always then give it to the nurse and they can give a call at a later time. I just think it's the best way to go. Generally when you have a medical question, it would be logical to call the nurse. Our building principals are well versed in all of this. They get all the updates that you all get from me. They get the same ones, the highlighted versions. We talk it through, and we meet about this. And we'll be meeting tomorrow to talk about this 5 days. So the building principals and assistant principals they'll be the greatest resource for this, I would say, for any call. More questions? Because I'm sure that if you have that question, that someone, if anyone is watching this, they would have the same question. Anyone? No? Erin, last chance. No? Okay. All right, well, thank you for that. And like I said, that information is on our website. I try to make it as brief and condensed of a summary as possible because, and I did hear from some of you, it is really tough to follow the bouncing ball with all these memos, and then the words can change just a little from one memo to another, and what's the significance? And ironically, when you look at the Orange County memo from last night, which was written based off of what the New York State memo was, they don't perfectly align. And so that's where it was really a conscious effort. We spent some time today. How can we continue to trim that document down? And that's what's posted on our website. So, but if there are any other questions, certainly building principals, my office, myself, we're all here for the same reason, which is keep our students safe and keep them in school.
Mike, can I just ask one more question?
Sure.
What are the legal ramifications? If we choose to follow one way or not another way, what are the legal ramifications if we make a mistake and somebody, let's say there's a death, a COVID death? Are there any? Is this a legal document, or is it a guideline, or is it, you know what I mean? What do we have to follow legally?
Right now, there's actually not an official document that would be considered a true order from the New York State Department of Health. Right now, we're dealing with guidance, and they often use the word interim guidance because they know that guidance is not going to be sustained. It's subject to change, and really change at any time. So, all that being said, yeah, I mean, as any entity, there's always the potential for liability based on, really anything that occurs, but it's also very important to know, or at least to articulate, that we are following the New York State Department of Health guidance. And we were on, Mr. Tim and I were on a meeting this afternoon with many folks from around the county, which also included representatives from the Orange County Department of Health, up to and including the commissioner of the Department of Health. So we were able to ask questions and really affirm that what we are doing is in line. And really the most specific question was, if we follow the New York State guidance, are we following Orange County guidance? And the answer to that was yes. And when it comes to our test to stay protocol, which that would be where you have close contacts that are continuing to come to school, we did submit our plan early last week, and there's no formal approval process, but we received 0 feedback on that, which would, I think in this case, no feedback is good feedback. Means you're compliant.
But there's really no definite legal way to follow.
No, we are complying with the guidance, and also and when the orders are in place, we are following the orders. And when it comes to actual legislation, which comes usually more into play when you're talking about personnel matters, we are following all of those, and we are very mindful of staying on top of anytime there are changes. And the only thing we may do is where we are, required to offer something if it's beneficial to one segment of our learning community, we may extend that because the board may have said that that was important, or that we felt that it was important for operations, but never do we never would go extend something beyond what's allowed in the opposite direction, which would be to ignore, let's just say, for example, the mask mandate, right? So regardless of where one fits on that continuum, the mandate is clear. The word mandate in and of itself is crystal clear that this is really not something to negotiate. So we will follow that. Great questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Rydell. Our Assistant Superintendent for Instruction, Natasha Shea.
Just a couple mentions tonight. We'll be reconvening our Professional Learning Committee meeting on January 19th. Also, our Education Committee will be reconvening on that same day. Our Professional Learning Committee, we're going to be working on updating our district professional development plan, as well as preparing for our Superintendent Conference Day in March. And Education Committee, we have a bunch of stuff on the agenda. Another note, our 3A computer-based practice testing is happening this week for grades 3 to 8. And our middle school, I just want to mention, kudos to our high school student voice committee, as well as our middle school student voice committee that just met for the first time when we got back from our winter break. And just to mention, if there's any middle school students interested in joining the committee to share their ideas about school, please contact Mr. Murata or Ms. Cohen in the office. And thank you, Mr. Lazaro, for your presentation today. Very well done.
Thank you. Our Assistant Superintendent of Business, John Penn.
Thank you. So there was a walkthrough at the middle school for contractors on December 29th. Was not feeling well, did not make it. Mr. Rydell attended it, and from what I understand, there were 18 contractors that walked through the building, so it was a nice little turnout. Bid proposals for the capital project are due January 19th at 1 p.m., and I will be presenting later this evening the initial budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Penn. The consent items, these items include and could be all approved with one motion. Minutes from December 14th, 2021. Minutes from CSE, minutes from 11/29, 12/7, 12/8, 12/9, 12/10, 12/13, 12/14, 12/15, 12/16, 12/17, 12/20, 12/21, 12/22. Minutes from CPSE, minutes from 12/8, 12/14, 12/16, 12/17, 1/3/22. Personal employment items. No, we need a motion in a second. Sorry, missed that one. Motion. Jerry?
Bill?
Bill.
I'll second
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? Okay. Personnel employment items. All could be approved with one motion. These items include retirement support staff, position 76, teachers aide. Retirement support staff, position 472, teachers aide. Resignation support staff, position 578, payroll clerk. Resignation support staff, position 587, cleaner. Resignation support staff, position 3580, teacher's assistant. Leave of absences. Appointment professional, non-teaching substitute school nurse. Appointment instructional staff vacancy 2369, per diem instructional substitute for the 2021-2022 school year. Appointment instructional staff substitute teacher for the 2021-2022 school year. Appointment support staff for substitute monitor. Change in status, support staff, probationary and permanent status, position 462, clerk typist. Approval of employment list is as is. Need a motion.
Ms. Letter H.
I miss
Letter H.
appointment instructional staff vacancy 2369 per diem.
Not touching
That's
substitute nurse.
That's the nurse.
Non-teaching substitute school nurse. Letter H. Must be.
Letter G.
What you have in front of you is not the final one. You just have to read this one here. The usage.
Oh, that's a different one. Now, appointment professional non-teaching substitute school nurse. Sorry,
No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I need a motion and a second.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion?
You want to put the microphone a little closer to you, everything's being picked up.
No. Okay. Ready? Action items. Okay, memorandum of agreement between the Port Jervis City School District and the Port Jervis Teachers Association. I need a motion and a second.
Happy to move it.
Second. Second.
I'll second.
Bill?
There's a third and a fourth.
Wait a minute, I hear voices. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Correction action plan for the audit period ending June 30th, 2021. Revised and corrected action plan for audit period ending June 30th, 2020. I need a motion in a second.
Move it. I'll move it.
Bill, I hear you.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hamilton Bicentennial Elementary sixth grade trip to Salem, Boston, Massachusetts, June 8th and 9th, 2022. I need a motion and a second.
I'll move it.
I'll move it. I'll second.
Judy and Karen.
That was that Tara?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, any discussion first?
They should really be going in October.
Port Jervis City School District Substitute Compensation Revision. I need a motion and a second.
Move it.
Second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have policy, first reading of policy numbers 2110, 2111, 2210, 2330, 3112, 3120, 3130, 3210, 3220, 3230, 3231, 3232, 3660, 3260, 3282. Need a motion and second.
So moved.
I'll move it.
Nancy and Bill, honor free. Any discussion? Nancy, would you like to explain any of them?
Can I go through them when I do the minutes?
When she does committee
Whatever.
reports.
When I do committee report?
Whatever you like, sure.
I'll do that. Thank you.
You're welcome. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have policy first and final readings of policy 3140, 3150, 3240, 3250, 3271, 3273. May I have a motion in a second?
I'll move it.
Nancy? All in favor? We would like to have a discussion on the 2022-2023 student calendar. Mr. Rydell, our superintendent. Would you like me to discuss? No.
Yeah, so I wanted to just share this draft calendar. Ultimately, what I'll do is meet with the respective bargaining units in our district, but I just wanted to, it's a little bit of a unique calendar. I feel like I say that each year. I guess every calendar is unique, but there are some nuances to this one, and it's compounded with when Labor Day falls, the incorporation of Juneteenth into the formula. And so basically, based on just some conversations leading up to this meeting, I just wanted to share this. It does clearly appear that the BoCE's calendar will incorporate the February break during that President's Week. So it is mutually beneficial for us to be in line with that. And one of the things that the board did indicate that was a priority was to create a calendar with 187 days, and that would give us 5 snow days, as opposed to decreasing them and having remote days if necessary. So this is what we came up with. In summary, you'll see the Superintendents Conference day preceding Labor Day in the first days of September. That gives us a 4-day week. There is some benefit to that, to get routines established during that first week, but also give our teachers plenty of time to get things together before we start the school year. October, there's nothing unique there. One of the things that may stand out as being a nice feature of this calendar is the Superintendents Conference day on this calendar, at least on this draft, is on November 1st, so the day after Halloween. Not a bad day to have a Superintendent's Conference day, so that students can enjoy their candy and apples. The Thanksgiving week, you'll notice continuing on what we've done the past couple of years, 2 half-day Superintendent's Conference days. The winter recess on this calendar is about as short as one can expect. And again, this is where the conversations with mainly CSEA and PJAP will come in, being 12-month employees, about making sure everyone's okay with how we would allocate the Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. But that would be those 5 days, and then the rest of the calendar really kind of flows in normal regard, with February having the 5 days off in a row, and spring break that does not have an Easter Monday incorporated into it. So sometimes you'll see the calendar with the Easter Monday. This does not. And the other thing, based on the way this calendar falls, is that the Memorial Day weekend would be just Monday, not Friday and Monday. And really that can really come down to Juneteenth. So I don't know if there are any comments, discussions, things that stand out that you don't like, etc.
I have a question. And I don't know, our calendars are different from the school, but if January 31st, you don't give, or the first would be New Year's Day, you don't give an extra day for that, or is it?
It gets reallocated, so that's something that discussion would happen. So that's what happened this past year. So
Okay.
Based on
I know
where
it was hard with them being on weekends,
Yeah.
you went, and I know that.
So that is credited, so that's why this particular year, so if a 12-month employee wanted to take the entire week off of the Christmas break, they really had to utilize 2 vacation days, because Christmas Eve and Christmas Day were actually,
On the weekends.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you have to give the days before.
Correct.
I'm just wondering, because I was looking at it and I'm going,
Yeah. I believe the way the calendar works this particular school year is Christmas was on the Saturday, correct? Christmas Eve was on a Friday.
Right.
So then Christmas became Monday, as far as the calendar goes.
Right.
And then Thursday, Friday were New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And, well, kind of opposite, but,
the other
and then
way.
so that way folks had to, if they wanted to take off Wednesday, Thursday, they got the whole week off.
okay.
I have a quick question about the February winter break.
Yep.
I don't understand. We are taking that week off because Fosi says we're taking that week off. Is that that's what you were saying?
Yeah, but I just want to make sure that we're clear. It's not as though BoCES is sitting in an office saying, you know what, this is what we want to do and we're going to push this out. It's more of a collaborative conversation where they put out multiple calendars where all school districts are really part of the initial conversation. And then there's a countywide calendar committee, right, where it's a few school districts, few representatives from each, from large schools, medium to small schools. And they get together and they look at the different options for calendars, and then from there they present to us as all the superintendents what the 3 calendars are, and then we all issue our votes. It's pretty clear that the February, having that week off in February is a very popular feature for multiple reasons. It takes out an entire week that is you're reducing the amount of potential snow days, right? So there's that piece. It's nice to have that gap in February, because that could also, if you look at this calendar, if they didn't have that, that's a lot of weeks with not a lot of days with marks on it, right? So it's a lot of consistent days.
I didn't know it was an optional thing. So if there was a 4-day weekend for President's Week, then you can add another day on for Easter Monday and for Memorial Day. So we're just wondering how far this was dictated.
It absolutely is, and there'll be school districts in Orange County that have different contractual requirements that they won't have that 5-day week.
There were other schools in the area that had the 23rd of December off and had other days off.
They could have other days off, or they could need those days in order to reach their contractual obligations. There are school districts that have bargaining unit requirements with it has to be 189 days on the books. So they won't have that.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other thoughts, comments? There aren't a lot of options, right? We tried to see where we could get creative. Really, the only creative license that we felt was where do we put the potential superintendents conference days. And again, it's also about getting as many eyes on this as possible. We'll meet with the bargaining units and representatives from the bargaining units and getting feedback, but it just doesn't seem a lot of wiggle room there.
Thank you, Mrs. Wright.
So we'll have those meetings before the next board meeting, and I'll be communicating with the board as to the status of that, and it'll likely be on the next board agenda. Sure.
And I know this is not something that we're dealing with every day, but if we were having an outbreak of COVID, wouldn't it be better served to take that second week in January I know that parents don't want their kids possibly home for 2 weeks, I get that, but could we possibly safeguard that so that maybe that would be someplace that we would add on if we had some other variant come that we needed to, basically kind of keep kids, or have our own little isolation time during this time when everybody's coming inside?
Sure, that's really, and anything is really possible. So the short answer to that is yes. That could also be akin to what the Orange County was recommending that schools do last year, which was the holiday pause. But they were saying 2 weeks, but I get what you're saying, right? How do you make it? How do you extend that out? Maybe any holiday get-togethers, anything that would have manifested from that. So absolutely. But one of the things that we could also do, which in addition to that or aside from that, is to also have a model where we know that we could always shift to a remote model if we needed to. So it wasn't necessarily an established week off, because again, you start running out of days and what have you, and the more you utilize during the beginning or early parts of the year, the less flexibility you have as the year goes on. But you can always have remote days for which you would get full credit when it comes to state aid and attendance.
So we can always have that conversation.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's a great point.
Okay. We have board member comments, board member committee reports. Anyone? There you go, Nancy. Please.
The long one. So on December 13th, the committee spent the entire meeting going over policy review, going over our existing manual to make sure everything was still pertinent. Based on that review, we had 14 policies up for our first read tonight. Do I have to read all these? Oh, God. So they are available to be read on the website under agenda. And we got down from, I'll just name the policies, policy 2110, 2111, 2210, 2330, 3112, 3120, 3130, 3210, 3220, 3230, 3232, 3260, and 3282. We had 6 policies tonight that were on for a first reading, but dually on for a final read, which is possible only because there were such minuscule amendments. The only change to these 6 policies was to personalize them with the Port Jervis School District, which we're doing to almost everything in the book. And we tried to make sure this is on each one of our policies. These policies include 3140, 3150, 3240, 3250, 3271, and 3273. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Board member comments. Judy. Brian.
Just thank you to Mr. Lazaro.
Bill.
Say thank you for Mr. Lazaro and Natasha, what you're doing. Other than that,
Jason.
I'm usually a no comment. I'll be real quick about it. Let's get the new year going. We're on the right foot. I think we're moving forward. And I'd like to congratulate all parties involved for finalization of the contract. I think it works out for all. Fair deal.
Nancy.
Concerning the Seal by Literacy program, I am once again really impressed with Mrs. Fedoric and everything that comes from the high school, as well as the doctor to my right. I really didn't know she was a doctor, so I'm really impressed. I just kept calling her Mrs. Anyway, that's really very impressive and but not surprising from our district, so thank you very much for that. I'm very happy for the Port Jervis Teachers Association that everything is settled there and everyone is moving forward from there. And I would say Happy New Year and have a successful year to all.
I would just like to say Happy New Year to everyone. Thank everyone again for all they do for this district. This was my first time doing it. I hope I didn't make too many mistakes. They're going to fire me next week. That's okay.
We don't have to wait that long.
You're great.
Oh, I forgot the TV screen. See that? Carol, would you like to say something?
Oh, thanks, Lou. Just real quick, I'd like to thank Mr. Lazaro for his presentation, and I wanted to echo Jason's sentiments and Nancy's as well. They're very happy for the valued members of PJTA, the settlement of their contract, and just stay healthy, everyone.
Ms. Donofree.
I just want to thank everybody that's had so much to deal with this COVID situation. I know how convoluted everything is, and between the board members, Mr. Rydell, and the teachers and everybody, I know it's really difficult, but it's certainly very much appreciated, all the input and the time that it takes to get through this.
Thank you. Okay, can I finish? No. I just want, Mr. Lazaro, Mrs. Fedorka, thank you so much. I was very impressed with that. I mean, like I said, you come here and you learn something new every day, every time we get together and stuff. And I I just hope I didn't fudge this or make too many mistakes tonight, but I had a good time up here. But, anybody, okay, dates to remember. Next meeting dates, Port Jervis School District. Did you see I started bouncing when I was reading all those dates of all those committees? All right, okay. Okay, Monday, January 17th, Martin Luther King Day. Schools are closed district-wide. Tuesday, January 18th, Senior Portrait Last Makeup Day. PTSA meeting, 9 a.m. to noon. The meeting at night is 7 p.m., Port Jervis High School. Wednesday, January 26th, can't believe this, 2022. Elementary trimester second progress reports are issued district-wide. Tuesday, February 1st, 2022. Board of Education meeting, 7 p.m., Port Jervis High School cafeteria. Oh, if anybody wants to come to the meeting and talk, you would get a hold of Mrs. Lopez, and she will help you. Now, I need a motion to adjourn, if there's nothing else.
Ms. Santini, can I just?
Oh, no, I didn't do it.
You did everything, I wasn't sure if anyone was gonna bring it up, sometimes it's brought up, but I just wanted to point out that on the agenda that was approved tonight, we have 49 years, approximately, almost 50 years of service, retiring with Mary Ann Bloom and Tammy Oney. So just wanted to recognize them, and fortunately we still have them for a little while longer, but nonetheless they're on the agenda. And I also wanted to just accentuate, because we did kind of go over it, the document is on the agenda, but I do think that it's important for us to really get the word out there. The board approved a substitute compensation change, which I'm hoping would increase the number of folks that want to and will substitute in our district. And I just wanted to explain it very quickly. First of all, the daily rate was approved to go up to $110 per day. For substitute nurses, that goes up to $125 per day. What is unique about this model is that it also encourages frequency and really commitment to our school district, because that's really what we're looking for. So there's actually an incentive program. If someone does 50 or more days, at the end of the school year, they'll be compensated $5 per day that they worked. If they do 60 days, they get $6 per day. 80 days, $8 per day. And then ideally, for those that are really, they're in our buildings every day, they're part of our system, they're here for 100 days or more, they'll get $10 per day that they've worked for the year. So it would be really a nice end of the year check for them, but it's really acknowledging their commitment and dedication to our school district. So I'm very appreciative of this board for approving that and supporting that ideal. I know you want your classes covered, et cetera, so I don't mean that it was a hard sell, but I do appreciate the support on that.
I would like to have a motion and a second to end the regular business meeting. We will have another presentation after.
I'll move it.
Nancy?
Second.
All in favor?